Hey everyone, welcome to Interchain Conversations, day 2. We've just had 12 hours of Interchain Conversations yesterday, and we're kicking off the next day. So good morning to people on the West Coast, and good evening to people in Europe, and hopefully people are going to watch this ASIC. This is the kickoff for Interchain Conversations, and this is to talk about the Atom 2021 initiative. And so I'm super excited to be talking about Atom 2021, and I think it's a great place to start this second day of Interchain Conversations. So what is Atom 2021? So Atom 2021 is sort of it's a collaborative project that I kicked off in July of 2020 to create value accrual mechanisms for atoms and ensure that the Cosmos the Cosmos Hub and the Atom has an important role in the emerging interchain ecosystem. So what's the problem that we're solving? And let's just be very, very straightforward about it. Is I think we've, if you followed Interchain Conversations yesterday, you saw an enormous amount of technical progress across the ecosystem. And there are plenty of projects that aren't really even presenting here, like Thorchain, that are, I think, built on Cosmos technology and, embrace the Cosmos vision of the world, that have made enormous progress. On the other hand, the Atom price has been flat for 2020, even though sort of technical, organizational, and various other risks have diminished. I think it's pretty reasonable to expect that when Stargate goes live, when Stargate goes live, we're going to see a bit of a price bump. It would be surprising if that didn't occur, given that we sort of finished the white paper with Stargate, and we sort of unlocked the massive barrier to innovation that has been this massive refactor of the core Cosmos, both the Tendermint and the Cosmos SDK code. But on the other hand, I would like to see more price movement. I would like to see a clearer narrative around what atoms do in the cosmos. And that was why sort of back in July, I sort of started this idea of doing the Atom 2021 initiative. So hold on. There we go. All right. So what the Atom 2021 initiative conceives is that we should add 3 pieces of functionality to the Cosmos Hub in 2021 to start clarifying why the Cosmos Hub is an actually important and relevant chain in the wider Cosmos ecosystem. And so the 3 proposed sort of pieces were the Cosmos Hub constant function automated market maker. Think Uniswap, PEGGY and Ethereum interoperability, and staking derivatives. It's been incredibly satisfying that we've made enormous progress, and this is going to be a bit of a progress update on these 3 pieces and how we sort of get to a clearer vision of Atom value accrual. So why these 3 features? Why not some other features? There have been alternate visions for what the Cosmos Hub does that have been proposed, and I think that there are there's a clear use case here. So one is the AMM. And atoms are a natural reference and price discovery asset for the Cosmos. There is definitely a need for price discovery in the IBC ecosystem. We have, I'd say that probably like our analysis, much of which has appeared in various forms, has been that we don't think that liquidity in the interchain will all collapse into any one chain, but that price discovery is a really important feature for a hub. And now that we've seen the user adoption that has been really compelling this year of constant function automated market makers, this is a really natural feature for the hub to have. The second feature is PEGGY and Ethereum interoperability. We've seen Ethereum interoperability become sort of commoditized among all the other layer 2 chains. But I nevertheless think that if atoms are a secure, well-collateralized, secure, well-collateralized bridge to Ethereum and Ethereum DeFi, this will be a feature that, like, sort of, again, lots of emerging chains will choose to use, even though we are already seeing, as one would expect, many parallel bridges between Cosmos chains and Ethereum. And then sort of the third thing is, I think we have an obligation to innovate on staking derivatives. The Cosmos model of proof of stake has become very popular. There is, most of the proof of stake world is using, I think, some variant of sort of the initial design that we came up with in 2018, with staking and delegation and fee distribution and reward distribution all happening in a non-custodial manner. But probably more than at least I expected, exchange staking has become a real threat to the viability of a decentralized system like the Cosmos Hub, and we need to do something. So I guess like I said, the most exciting thing that has happened in the Atom 2021 initiative has been that, like, largely people from the community, not just me, not just Iqlusion, have really taken up the torch on these ideas, and we've seen considerable progress from a variety of different players moving this forward. So I'd say so I'm just going to start with the liquidity module. The liquidity module is a joint work from Tendermint, All in Bits, and bharvest. I believe that bharvest has talked about their progress on this later today. And so we actually have code that has been going on at github.com/tendermint/liquidity for a Stargate ready Cosmos module. We've implemented sort of the basic Uniswap curve. I think if you've been following the constant function market maker space, there has been a Cambrian explosion of innovation there, where everything from integrated options, alternate curve shapes, slippage, price slippage, and impermanent loss defenses. But the liquidity module that we've worked on so far has been along the more basic side. And then we have the one thing that we've done is we've done MEV and consensus. The interaction between applications and consensus was a hot topic yesterday from Charlie's presentation. And bharvest design has batching functionality that does minimize the role of MEV, so that in any given liquidity pool, all the transactions clear at a single price. And simplicity of this is extremely appealing for the hub and is a good place to get started. Now, I think one of the questions really, though, is you can build a constant function automated market maker. In fact, I think a constant function market maker for sort of any blockchain and any ecosystem is basically table stakes now. How do you go to market? So I think we have a couple of things that I think represent pieces of the puzzle that haven't been built yet. We need, I think, without a doubt, a liquidity mining module that can be implemented over IBC. I think the basic design supports this nicely, but we're going to need to like build these components and make them a standard piece of new Cosmos SDK chains when they launch. Another question that I think is really important is we see a lot of liquidity incentives emerging in various constant function market makers, and should we provide, for instance, in Atoms or another token, most likely Atoms, native liquidity incentives on the Cosmos Hub. And then I think the other question is really just, and I think like a theme of Cosmos in 2021 is, 2020 was mostly about the base 2019 was about launch. 2020 was about base protocol improvements. 2021, I think on the software engineering side is going to be very driven by middleware. And we want zones to be able to access liquidity from another zone efficiently over IBC. And what does that all mean? I think is these are all areas where there's quite a bit of work left to be done. So the spirit in which I sort of am arguing that what we're saying is we've made a lot of progress on getting this constant function market maker up and running. I think that this is a great candidate for the first post Stargate upgrade using the upgrade module to get this liquidity mechanism in. I think that it will be a very useful tool right when to come very soon after IBC transfers are enabled, and is going to likely jumpstart the ecosystem. But there's also still quite some important pieces of work left to be done. So moving on, Ethereum bridge technology, PEGGY. I think that I think the way that that it's been put is, I think that directionally we're seeing the Cosmos we're seeing the Cosmos vision sort of starting to materialize across the entire blockchain ecosystem. So the Interchain was directionally correct, but on the flip side, a couple of things have sort of not been exactly as intended. One is Ethereum is turning out to be like one of the most important hubs in the early hubs in the emerging Interchain. I don't think that's entirely a surprise, but it continues to be a reality that we have to support. I think the bigger question has been that we have seen custodial centralized bridges be incredibly popular with products like WBTC and wrapped tokens from players like FTX on Solana. And I think there's a real question about how non-custodial interoperability technologies like IBC and like PEGGY, where do they fit in the wider ecosystem? So we have, the PEGGY project has been at one stage of research and development or another for, almost 3 years. Actually, one of the first projects I worked on in 2018 at All in Bits was actually making progress on PEGGY and working on some of the initial smart contracts. PEGGY has made progress. We have multiple funding sources. The ICF invested into Althea, both through service agreements and I believe through a standard investment into the company. We did Up 101, which was a crowdfunding campaign from Unify DAO to fund PEGGY development, and we also formed PEGGY JV, which is a collaboration between Iqlusion, Althea, and a number of other another number of other people in the ecosystem to bring sort of PEGGY-based technology to production. And we have a number of production users of the PEGGY software. We have Injective Protocol, which launched a testnet, and have been, and they actually, upstreamed a major gas efficiency mechanism. We have SIFT-Chain, which recently announced fundraising as building a multi-chain JEX. We have the Sommelier chain, which is one of the things that PEGGY JV is building, and find out more about that in January at Unified Demo Day. The GitHub repos and everything are all public, as well as Telegram. And then I anticipate that the Cosmos Hub will be an adopter of this PEGGY technology. So what's next for PEGGY? PEGGY is middleware. And one of the things that I really believe is that middleware needs users to become seamless. And that PEGGY needs to compete against custodial bridges and IBC solo machines. IBC, like one of the things that is sort of the biggest question for PEGGY right now is, how do you compete in a world where an exchange can easily wrap tokens into another ecosystem? An exchange, and a custodian, a crypto bank, easily, and those wrap tokens can participate in all of the DeFi madness that we are currently engaged in. And the IBC solo machine, which is a piece of the IBC protocol that Agoric sort of has been an advocate for, actually provides a very nice mechanism to run centralized custodial assets into the IBC ecosystem. So you don't have to run a blockchain to issue IBC assets, and that's also a missing piece of middleware. And PEGGY needs to compete against it. So I think this is, the real question for PEGGY in 2021 is finding users, users and transactions. So what I think is going to be the sort of key pieces of the PEGGY story is atoms in Uniswap and Ethereum DeFi. The Sommelier chain is a protocol that's sort of about just enhancing the Ethereum DeFi user experience. MEV resistant trading from Injective is also a thing, and the multi-chain DEX that SIFT-Chain is building are all plausible reasons why we might get real users of PEGGY. But that's really my goal. And then the last piece of this puzzle, staking derivatives. We have made, there's been a sort of extensive collaboration in the Unified DAO Telegram and on GitHub, and around staking derivatives. There is a Gaia team that is forming at Interchain Berlin for the maintenance and expansion of the staking module. I think, the staking module was like one of the major R&D outputs of All in Bits during 2018. Designing a system that, allows every, basically anyone with, a fraction of an atom to participate directly in the staking system and the protocol, and not requiring intermediation from exchanges or other centralized players to participate in staking. Was one of our major outputs. On the other hand, largely those contributors to that system either moved to other parts of the ecosystem, left the company, or worked on IBC. And we need to, we've been needing to reboot a team to focus on the proof of stake mechanism. So we have a lot of unanswered questions about staking derivatives. We have usability concerns. Earning yield on staked assets has had broad consumer adoption. There are tens or maybe high side 100,000 individual stakers across the many blockchain ecosystems. That's not bad. We have this problem, which is that the number one validator on the Cosmos Hub is Binance. Kraken and Coinbase are both rising in the ranks. We have this, and we view staking derivatives as like the most plausible countermeasure to exchange staking. But will staking derivatives live up to that hope is still an open question. And we also have an organizational structure that is much less mature than what is pursuing both the constant function automated market maker and PEGGY. There is no equivalent yet for either the AIBB Harvest collaboration or PEGGY JV. And I think then the sort of other sort of meta question is whether or not the Cosmos Hub should enable multiple staking derivative designs to exist and coexist at the same time on the hub, or whether or not we should pick one and move forward with that. So what should 2021 bring to Atom? We have the first half of 2021 will be critical for the role of Atom in Cosmos. IBC will be live, and it's really time for the Cosmos Hub to step up and actually demonstrate that atoms are essential to this ecosystem. It's very possible for a world to exist in which Cosmos works, but the atom is not a sort of dominant asset in the wider Cosmos ecosystem. The second piece is, our governance mechanism will have to play a strong role in the development and deployment and marketing of Atom 2021. It's really up to Atom holders to sort of drive this forward. And there's going to be risk. There is going to be bets that are not going to work out in this process. And we're also going to have to reward people who overcome those bets. The expectation that someone else will do this, will drive the Atom value accrual paradigm is wrong, and it's really going to come down to Atom holders to do that. And you can learn more about this from both presentations during, and then we have the Interchain DAO demo day coming on Jan 13th. I'd be happy to answer questions now, if there are any. Any questions about Atom 2021? I'm looking at the chat. Ah, perfect. Okay. So there was a question, why Atom is well suited as a price discovery asset given to access to IBC, to stablecoins, wrapped BTC, etc. So this is a good question from Dave. The best reason why atoms are potentially good, are likely to be a good price discovery asset, is that atoms have both a lot of regulatory clarity, which stable coins, wrapped Bitcoins, etc., are much earlier in that process. And they're also native to the ecosystem, and they have first mover advantage. So atoms are tremendously liquid, native to the ecosystem. So that's that question. Okay, so then second question. Has the idea of shared security been abandoned, or is it still on the table? From Johnny, who has written some very nice articles about Cosmos. So the question has really been, so shared security is really important, here's how I think about shared security. Shared security has a bunch of open questions. The biggest open question of shared security has been, what are people willing to pay for shared security? And that has been that is kind of the sort of biggest sort of thing on the table. So there's like a question of how should shared security be implemented on a technical level? Should we do lazy ledger? Should we do another design? Informal is working on is doing design work here on technical level. But I think there's a more fundamental question, which is, I think if you asked, let's say, Thorchain, would you pay for security from Atom holders? I think the answer to the question would be no. I think if you said the same question to Kava, answer to the question would be no. You said the same thing to Terra and Luna holders, the answer would be no. It's like we all natively secure our ecosystems, and we don't inherently feel that we need to be buying shared security from somewhere. And so I think that represents kind of like the biggest existential question is, I mostly tend to view the Ethereum community's sort of embrace of shared security as a be-all, end-all, as not really driven by fundamentals. It's driven by like sort of the shared Ethereum community's kind of view that like, this is the way. And that's a viable approach, but I don't think that that's going to be the Cosmos approach. Okay, so then the question is, the Kava bridge to BNB takes 30 seconds to 1 minute. It's a very scary user experience. How long do you expect the Atom to ETH PEGGY to take? And can these transactions fail? I think actually this is a great question, and this really is like comes right down to the thing about middleware. Like middleware, like the PEGGY bridge can be very transparent. It can provide a lot of visibility into what the process is, where in the process a transaction is. It's not so much that 30 seconds to 1 minute is inherently scary. You know, we all live with 10 minute to 1 hour Bitcoin transaction times or confirmation times. But what we do have is like there's a lot of tooling that provides visibility. You can see your transaction in the mempool. You can see where it is in the process. I think PEGGY will need that same sort of system in place. Are we planning to reduce the block time after Stargate? So the primary reason for the 6-second block time. So let's just so we understand how the 6-second block time works. The 6-second block time is a result of default configurations in the validator sets. And so we're going to need validators to adjust their transaction time. The reason why we did 6-second blocks is without the features that are in Stargate, the blockchain gets really big really fast. You know, if the Cosmos Hub blockchain was growing 6x at speed, I mean, it would be even more annoying to store all these blocks than it currently is. Stargate is a huge, provides all of the technological building blocks needed to increase the block time. And then, okay, so then sort of another good question, which is, are there obvious ways in which the success of the Cosmos ecosystem is anti-correlated with the success of the Atom asset? And I don't view them as anti-correlated, but they're not inherently strongly correlated as well. The Cosmos view is that blockchains are service providers. And blockchains have to decide and need to provide a service that is valuable and also somewhat exclusive. And so it's not obvious to me that you can, for instance, just providing a settlement layer, which is like one of the proposed use cases for Atoms, can inherently compete against the popularity of ETH as a settlement layer, for instance. Yeah, I mean, there's like a raging debate in the chat right now about whether or not. So I guess the other point I would make is that it would work for atom value accrual in the constant function market maker, and like the design that we have doesn't specify that atoms are the reference asset. A stable coin in the Cosmos ecosystem, like eMoney's stable coin, or bridged DAI or bridged Tether or USDC, et cetera, are all viable mechanisms. As long as the price discovery is occurring on the Cosmos Hub, the fees will get shared between the liquidity providers and atom holders, and that will be enough to drive value and utility for the for the hub ecosystem, even if atoms are not the natural price discovery asset. I should be a little clearer about that. There's like a number of different ways this can work out, sort of to the benefit of atom holders.
So we're almost out of time. Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So thank you guys for listening, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Awesome. Thanks. We're going to transition now.